Shuffle these cards as much as you want. If some of you has ever been to a casino, he'll certainly know that dealers are only ever allowed to shuffle the cards using the so-called riffle shuffle, which consists of keeping the cards always on the table and shuffling them together. You have to know that this kind of shuffle was adopted by casinos all over the world several years ago in order to prevent any possibility of cheating at the card table, unless there's someone who really do wants to. Today I'll talk about a technique known as stacking the deck or running up a hand. Stacking usually takes place in the last phase of a round, when every player shows his hand. In that moment, the cheat notes the position of some highly desirable cards spread on the table, like 4 aces, and then all he has to do is to keep track of his target cards during the various shuffles and during the various cuts. At this point, how many players do you want in our hypothetical game of draw poker? 4, 5, 6 players? 6? Brilliant! So, I'm gonna give these cards a series of shuffles, and during these shuffles, I am not going to be primarily concerned with mixing the cards. I am going to be primarily concerned with repositioning those aces so that when I deal, I'll get the aces. Let's move on to the dealing phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you ask for a 6 in that game? I thought as much. If you're wondering how difficult this entire procedure is on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd immediately choose 10, with the second 0 right next to the first. And that's what's known as stacking a poker hand. Any questions? At this point, I should point out a couple of things. Number 1, a gambler very rarely works alone at a card table. He usually works with a partner, and he deals the stacked hand to a partner in order to divert suspicion, and they split the winnings after the game. Along these lines, I should also point out that a gambler would try to stack a hand less spectacular than 4 aces. He may go for a flush or a full house. In the next phase, I'll try to demonstrate just that. I'll stack the deck using a less spectacular hand than 4 aces, and I'll deal that to another player. Let's see. I used the aces before, now I will use the 4 queens instead. As you can see, I am openly looking for the queens in the deck. I do recommend, however, not to do this in your own games. You know, someone may get really hurt pretty badly. And like I said before, I'll try to do essentially the same thing as before, only that now I'll use the 4 ladies and I'll stack them not for myself, but for another player. So let's pretend that I am a cheater and that I've already managed to keep track of the 4 queens. So the deck is cut a couple of times, and now the cards are shuffled. Now, if you remember, at the beginning you shuffled these cards as much as you wanted, being concerned with mixing them. Right now, my concern is totally different, as you can understand. One last shuffle, and as you can see, these cards really are interlaced. No monkey business about that. Let's move on to the dealing phase, shall we? I stacked the deck for a 6-handed game because that's what I asked you at the beginning, and as promised, the queens are dealt to another player. To show you what this scam looks like when a cheater works with a partner. Wait a moment, folks, I don't want you to misunderstand. The player with 4 queens is not my partner. He's the sucker that will be brought to the cleaners. Because my partner is sitting over there on a fantastic pad hand of 4 kings. And here we come to the #1 rule for a gambler or cheater whatsoever, and that is, don't trust anyone, because I am planning to double-crossing my partner and taking the entire pot myself thanks to a wonderful pot hand of 4 aces.